Today's model, we're going to look at severe weather, and we're going to start with thunderstorms because they are the basis of the other extreme storms that we're going to look at as well. So when a thunderstorm forms, there's 3 stages of formation. The first thing that happens is you've got that warm, humid air that rises, causing our vertical cumulonimbus clouds to form. This is called the cumulus stage. So we start off with like just the fluffy cumulus clouds. As they grow in height, they become cumulonimbus. This is our mature stage. This is when we start to see our heavy rains, our winds, lightning, hail. All of that's going to be in the mature stage. And then as we have the rainfall and precipitation, that creates downdrafts, which is going to slow down the updrafts that we had in the cumulus and mature stage, and then our storm is going to start to dissipate and die out. So here in this diagram, you can see that vertical formation of this cumulonimbus cloud. During thunderstorms, usually you're going to experience thunder and lightning. Lightning is just simply an electrical discharge. It's electrons moving from one location to another. Most lightning actually occurs from cloud to cloud. The lightning that we see occurs from cloud to ground. And what happens, the lower part of the cloud has negative ions that build up, and they repel any negative ions and objects on the ground. So what happens is you're left with positive ions, like at the top of a tree or a building. And electric charges are attracted to opposites, so those electrons are going to jump towards that positive. If we have lightning within a cloud, you have your electrons at the bottom that are attracted to your positive ions at the top, or in a neighboring cloud, and those electrons are going to jump from one to the other. When this happens, the air instantly heats up to about 30,000 degrees Celsius. When air heats up, it expands. And then the split second after the lightning occurs, the temperatures cool down again and that air contracts. It's the sound that the contracting air makes that we hear as thunder. So when you hear thunder, lightning had to occur in order for that to happen. So even if you hear thunder but don't hear lightning, that could be lightning that was cloud to cloud. That's why when athletic events are canceled or swimming pools are closed, even if lightning has not been seen, we know that if thunder occurred, then lightning had to occur to cause it. All right, one of our severe storms we're going to look at are tornadoes. We call the actual spinning air or rotating column a vortex, and this is what extends downward from a cumulonimbus cloud. They can get over 300 miles per hour in wind speed. At the center is extreme low pressure, and we know with low pressure you have rising air. So this low pressure kind of creates that sucking power of a tornado. Usually destruction is going to be less than half a mile wide. However, they can be miles long. They last anywhere from minutes to hours depending on the storm and the conditions that are present. We have about 800 to 1,000 per year. Most of those occur in Tornado Alley, which is in the central part of the United States, ranging from Texas up to Nebraska. The scale that we use to measure tornadoes is the FUJITA scale, and it's a scale of 0 to 5. Now, Tornado Alley, you can see, runs from Texas up to Nebraska, even up into South Dakota. But the reason we have so many tornadoes that happen in this area, we've got this continental polar air mass, this cold, dry air that's moving down, that comes into contact with this maritime tropical moist air moving up. And then we even have the continental tropical air mass coming up off of Mexico. So you can see where those air masses combine. We have cold fronts and warm fronts. When they collide, they create the horizontal winds that can cause the cumulonimbus clouds to form the vortex. Here's the FUJITA scale. We now have an enhanced FUJITA scale. They've changed the wind speeds for some of the categories, but it ranges from 0 to 5. And we rate them based on the wind damage. And here's another image of the tornado. You can see how it's just the very bottom tip of the cumulonimbus cloud. Our next type of severe storm is a hurricane. We're more familiar with hurricanes because of our proximity to the Atlantic Ocean. But basically what happens is it starts off as a thunderstorm over the ocean. They usually, hurricane season is from July to early November because the ocean water has to be higher than 80 degrees Fahrenheit in order to have enough energy and evaporation to form the clouds that are needed. Hurricanes form or cause more property damage and loss of life than any other type of storm, just because they're much larger. It's the winds, the storm surge, and the flooding that cause so much damage. So when you have the ocean water that's above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, you're going to have enough evaporation to form the cumulonimbus clouds. And hurricanes are going to be at their strongest when they're over water. As they move north and higher latitudes, the water temperature cools down, and as they move over land, there's no more water to evaporate, and you've got the friction of the land that slows down the winds as well. So we have a scale for measuring hurricanes as well, the Saffir-Simpson scale, and it ranges from Category 1 to Category 5. And you can see the higher the wind speed, the higher the damage level. Across the bottom of the graph here, you can't see, but as the low pressure or pressure decreases, the lower pressure, you're going to have even more evaporation and stronger storms. And that's when you create that eye of the hurricane, is when you have that low pressure center. So the stages of hurricane formation, you start off with that thunderstorm. We call those a tropical disturbance or depression. They're called depressions because of the lower pressure, and it's going to form over warm water. Once the pressure continues to drop and the air starts moving inward, because remember, air moves from high to low pressure, the storm is going to start to get that rotation and form that spiral shape that we usually associate with a hurricane. So once the low pressure center, or the eye, forms at the center and the wind speeds are greater than 40 miles per hour, we call it a tropical storm. When it reaches wind speeds higher than 74 miles per hour, it becomes a hurricane. We give it a name when it's a tropical storm. Their name, we have about 7 lists. They alternate male and female names, and they go through the alphabet. Now, there have been years that we've gotten through the entire alphabet, so they start over with the Greek alphabet. So you would have like hurricane, alpha, beta, and so on.